Yo guys, welcome back to part 6 in this serverless series. This is the last one for this series. In this one I want to talk about deployment strategies and how we actually deploy and handle versioning and aliases and rollbacks and all that sort of stuff. Like, this is really, really important stuff when it comes to actually building and deploying serverless apps. So I want to make sure I cover it and show how easy it is to do. You know, this is one of those things that's really, really come a long way. And I mean, you have whole teams of people who work on just making sure deployments are good for like traditional apps, right? Like, you know, if they need to do some sort of configuration change, there's this whole pipeline built about it. There's thousands of lines of code that work out when and rerouting traffic and load balance distributions, all that sort of stuff. It's so much easier than that. And I want to show you guys sort of how this all works with serverless, because I think this is one of the major selling points about how it all works, and the fact that you don't need anyone managing deployments really anymore. You just need a way to essentially have your commit be pushed and go through a pipeline and then just run like it's just a couple of commands in your pipeline. You'll have your full blue-green deployment occur, but also there's some concepts of canary deployments in there as well, where we actually check against CloudWatch alerts or alarms to see if those have gone into an errorsome state during that window. And if so, we automatically roll back to the old version. And it's just like, boom, it's just like that, it's super quick. So anyway, I want to go through that a little bit here. So in our code, this is where we picked up in the last clip, right? We haven't really done anything yet. I want to add in the deployment preference for these specific functions. So what I'm going to do is over here on the serverless application model GitHub repo, you can check out under the docs, there's a section here called Lambda Safe Deployments. This sort of shows you how to do deployments safely, like how to actually do the update of your application once it's in production, once it's live. So there's a few different things here, but essentially what happens is that when you specify a deployment mechanism or a deployment preference here, you can see some of the configuration here. What actually happens is that code deploy, so AWS code deploy is used to actually route the traffic to a new alias. So you get a new alias of your Lambda function, and you've got the old one, so you have both of them running. And you actually choose a type of deployment preference. So there's a couple that we'll go through here and have a look. And what happens is, say this one, you know, there's one that's canary 10% every 5 minutes, or you know, this one here, linear 10% every 10 minutes. What's happening is that it's going to shift 10% of the traffic from the current one that's running to the new one, and just monitor for any sort of issues. And those issues are alarms that you specify. So here we're specifying 2 different alarms that want to be checked during that deployment window. And if they do become error, like if the state of them becomes error, then it will automatically roll back, automatically flick back to the old one. So this is how you define it all here. You also have this idea of pre-traffic and post-traffic hooks. So you can actually do something before the traffic actually starts functioning on the new Lambda function, and also post-traffic. So after the traffic's been shifted to the new one, you can trigger a hook, which is just another Lambda function to perform some action. So it can be anything, right? That could be doing something in Slack, or putting some messages on a queue, or doing whatever. I mean, it's up to your imagination really at that point. But you can see that you get those examples here. So there's a lot of flexibility that comes into it, and it's really up to you as a developer to really go, well, how do I want to work my deployments out? But it should be as simple as possible, right? So there's different traffic shifting configurations here. There's linear, canary, and then there's just all at once. So some things might just be fine with having their traffic just all at once. So essentially the difference of these is outlined here. So that you can see the linear X percent Y minutes. So traffic to the new version is linearly increased in steps of X percentage over Y minutes. So it's like, you know, 10%, 20%, 30%, 40%. So that's one way to go. And then of course canary as well, which is probably more of a popular one. And some people do call this blue-green, but in this sense, you've got tests essentially happening against metrics during that time, which makes it more of a true canary deployment. So X% of the traffic will be routed to the new version for Y minutes. After Y minutes, 100% of the traffic will be switched over. So if we went canary 10% 5 minutes, what that means is 10% of the traffic will go to the new one, and then after 5 minutes, the other 90% will go over there as well. So that's something to keep in mind of a preference of your deployment mechanisms. Cool. All right, so let's add this in. Let's just copy and paste this. I mean, this is pretty cool. We can just go blip. So this will give us our CloudWatch alarms that we'll want to have in place so that we can monitor during our deployment. So I'll just tab these over. And I can add it as, I can have different alarms per function. I can have, whatever it is. I can have 10 alarms, 20 alarms, whatever it is that I feel like I need to have to monitor that state of that deployment. So what we'll do is I'll go ahead and just add this to the get function. And we can do it for both. We'll add in 2 actually. So we'll say here we need to actually put in the actual name of the function. So this can be get. Because this is actually looking for the CloudWatch dimensions. So for an actual alarm to be created, it needs to look at that exact Lambda function. So this was a placeholder here. So we want the sum, we want it to be 60 seconds. If there's any errors at all, the threshold is over 0. So if the function error is over 0, if it's errored at all, then we want to have our rollback happen. And here we have, this is a similar one as well, but this is actually for the latest version. So you have the alias, so the current version, and then the latest version. So you'll get 2 CloudWatch alarms created. So for each one, if there's any sort of new error that happens on the old one, or if there's anything that happens on the new one, you want to flip back as well. So it's you've got both bases covered there. So we can do this, and then we can change it to 1 evaluation period, because if we're getting any errors there, probably in trouble. And the thing is as well, you don't have to use the Lambda error. Like when you look at what we did with Lambda before as well, it might, this is actually going to make Lambda not error, right? This is actually going to say that it's going to not error, but it's going to tell API Gateway that there was an error, right? So we have a couple of options. We can change our monitoring of the CloudWatch alarm, like during the deployment, to look at API Gateway for 500s, or we can come in here and actually have an error get raised when there is an error. So let's just add it in here for now. I mean, it's up to you what you actually want to trigger on, but I'm gonna add it in here to the callback of an error, like if there is one, which is fine. Whatever works for you. You can monitor API Gateway or not as well. So this is going to be for gets, and then we can do one on puts as well. We could actually do this in a bit of a different way, but I just want to sort of show you guys that this is one way of doing it. You could have your alarms in a different stack where you just import them. That's also a good idea. So this is going to be put, and of course this is going to be put, and then yeah, up here as well. It's going to be puts and puts. Cool, and you can see here there's this thing called the alias. So this here is indicating the alias called live. And you might go, well, what the hell, like, what's an alias? Where does that all come from? So let's have a quick look at that as well. So we'll just collapse some of these so we can see a little bit better. So I'll push this up. And so now you can see we have all of our separate alarms here for everything. Okay, so now we need to add those to our functions. So if you have a look up here, you can see this alarms section, and it's also this auto publish alias. So let's just take that whole thing and we can just paste it in here. We could make this a global as well, but I'm not going to for this case, but we can add that in if we like to. So let's push this over here. So this is essentially just going to be a name that indicates the new alias. So it's like the auto publishing of the new alias. It's just a name that you're going to give it. You can call it whatever you want. Live is just fine for this case. So these are the alarms, of course. So we could say that like put has its own alarms and get has its own alarms. And we could even say that get has a different deployment preference to put, right? And like then you're truly going down into that micro function level, because it's like, could be a different language, could have its own deployment preference, could have its own alarms, like it's just its own function. So it can have a whole bunch of different things about it, which makes it really cool. Cool, all right, so let's just paste that in there. And now we have everything set up. So this is monitoring these 2 alarms down here. And just make sure that the need to have the these match up, otherwise it's not gonna work. And same up here. Yeah, I don't want to put a space. I want to write on these 2 lines at the same time. Okay, so now if we highlight that, you can see it's highlighting down here. So you're matching up. You've got everything covered. Awesome. Okay, so then we have the deployment type. You can do this however you see fit. What I think is a good one here, I think let's just go with Canary, 10% over 5 minutes. I think you'll get most enough like sort of information over that period of time. So I don't think you really need to monitor for 30 minutes. Like, I mean, some people are going to be really scared about doing deployment. So just try things out and just work with whatever works best for you and your team. But yes, confidence in your deployments will get you a long way. So try and become confident with it as you're deploying here. So anyway, this is set up ready to roll. So what do? Well, let's do another SAM package. So all we have to do is a SAM package again, and that's going to package everything up again with our nice new changes, and it's going to put that in S3 in that same bucket that we used last time. Okay, so if we just run our AWS CloudFormation deploy now, we should be good to go. So this is going to trigger a deploy. So flicking over to CloudFormation here, we'll see that the stack is actually update in progress, and what we'll see is the events taking place. So it's going to create these CloudWatch alarms for us now. So these will be in place and they'll be monitoring the status, like we said, of our app. And then we're going to be ready to roll. So we're not going to, obviously it's not going to do the whole deployment like right now. So we're going to do another deployment and actually watch what happens here. Okay, so that's finishing up right now. You can see it says update complete. So it's just about to flick over to say I'm all good to go. And then we have everything set up. So this could just be put into a CI/CD pipeline now, and it would be 100% fine. So every time a SAM deploy happens or a CloudFormation stack update happens on this, it's going to trigger that deployment mechanism. So we'll have a look at that now. So now that this is done, let's try it out, right? So I want to make a change in my app. So I want to say that in our get task here, let's just add in something that's just completely rubbish here. Let's just add in that get count. Let's just say that we're going to do a typo, right? Let's just say that rather than returning, let's just put whatever, this in here, right? So it's going to cause an error. And because we're in this try catch, we're in this try block here, it should come into this catch block here and cause the error to actually occur on the Lambda function itself and generate a 500 error. So we can just add that in, and what we can do is another SAM package. Boom. And of course, usually what you would do at this stage is you'd do your git add and you'd commit all this in, and you'd say, whatever it is you want to do. Like I always start with init and then clap, because you can put emojis in there, of course. So now I have all that committed. So I would push this and that would do my SAM package and SAM deploy for me. So by doing that now, we should see the stack update, but this time we should see something a little bit different as well. So if we jump over here and we hit refresh, we'll start seeing this update in a second here. Let's check that everything's running. So it's waiting for the change set to be created. And you'll see that change sets get created here. So this should be getting created and it's been executed. So there we go. So it's updating now. So if you look in the events, it's actually what's happening during this stage here. You're going to see that code deploy is going to kick off and initiate the update here. So here you can see it here. You can see there's an update in progress and it's against this Lambda alias here. And you can actually see there's two different deployments, right? The get function and the put function. They both have their own unique deployment. So we can open up both of these in new tabs. And if we just flick over to those tabs, so here we are in the deployment here for the get function. And you can actually see what's happening, right? So it's done the pre-deployment validation, so it's made like sure that things are working as intended at this point. And of course, you can add in your pre-hooks, right? And you see you've got different phases here, and you can see what's happening is it's actually shifting the traffic. So 90% of the traffic is on the old one, and 10% of the traffic is on the new one. So if we do a get against our route, so if we look at where we actually made this, it's in the get task, right? So we should hit an error in our get if we just keep doing it. So if we execute get, let's see what we get. So it looks like it's working, right? We're getting a 200 because that's hitting the old one, 90% of the traffic, remember? So we should get an error here in a second, I think. Yep. Any second. Oh, internal server error, 500. Right, so we eventually got routed to the new one, and we got an error. So if we keep hitting this now, we still might get that error for a second here, and there it is there again. So what's actually going to happen here? If we monitor this, you'll see it's actually going to say, oh, there's been an error, and I've got to roll back. So it's only 10% of the traffic, so it's going to not be that big of a blast radius, So we should see a deployment sort of say, I need to roll back here and go back. So we'll see that here in a second. And remember, it's over a 60-second period, so that alarm has to be over 0 over a 60-second period. So that should be any moment now we'll see this happen. So you can see that's failed now, guys, and actually 100% of the traffic is back on the old one. So what happens is, like, of course, if we just open up this and we hit this now, we're back on the old version here, and we won't get any 500s anymore because that alias, the new alias, has been completely destroyed, and we just don't have it anymore. So we're all good back on the 200 bandwagon. So that's how easy it is, right? And then I could see, I could go, okay, this deployment stopped, and it stopped at this point in the deployment when it was doing 10% of the traffic. I could go and work out what happened and see that there's obviously an error here and fix that up. And that's really as awesome as it is. So if I wanted to fix that now, I could just, of course, do my SAM package again and SAM deploy. And this specific version doesn't have any error, so it wouldn't be any problem. And away we go. That's how we can have that in place for all future deployments. And yeah, really play around with this, guys. Definitely check this out. If you're doing serverless stuff, this is really easy to set up, and there's a whole bunch of good documentation on it. If you guys have any questions at all about anything serverless, please drop me a line, drop me an email, whatever. I'd be happy to help. So hopefully you guys have really liked this this course. Please, I'm always open to suggestions about what to build on, what to work on. If you guys are interested in something in particular, I would love to build a clip about it. But yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments below, and until next time, cheers.